As we strive to feed the world's ever-growing population, agriculture practices have evolved to meet the needs of a hungry planet. However, conventional farming methods have a detrimental impact on our environment. The excessive use of chemicals, fertilizers, and pesticides have polluted the soil, water, and air, causing long-term damage to our ecosystem. This unsustainable approach to farming has forced us to rethink our agricultural practices. Enter sustainable farming, a more holistic approach to agriculture that balances productivity and environmental impact. In this video, we'll explore the benefits of sustainable farming practices and how farmers can achieve a balance between producing food and protecting our planet. Before continuing, please subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button so that you can receive all new updates. 1. Sustainable agriculture, an urgent need. Sustainable agriculture is an urgent and necessary practice that balances productivity with environmental impact. With agriculture being the world's largest industry and occupying around 50% of the Earth's habitable land, the need for sustainable resource management is increasingly crucial. Unsustainable farming practices have serious impacts on both people and the environment, from habitat loss to pollution and the degradation of soil and water quality. Agriculture contributes to many of the environmental challenges that need to be addressed, and it is becoming one of the most important frontiers for conservation. Sustainable agricultural practices preserve and restore critical habitats, protect watersheds, and improve soil health and water quality. Sustainable agriculture is not only a collection of practices but a process of negotiation, where individuals, communities, and policymakers work together to find solutions that promote sustainability. Interdisciplinary efforts in research and education are needed to fully understand and address the complex challenges that come with sustainable agriculture. The transition to sustainable agriculture is a process, and while each decision counts, it is the collective efforts of all participants in the system, from farmers to consumers, that will drive the system towards sustainability. The need for sustainable agricultural practices is urgent, as demand for agricultural commodities rises and the world population grows. Sustainable agriculture is the key to balancing productivity and environmental impact and ensuring a healthy planet for future generations. 2. Agriculture and biodiversity conservation. Agriculture and biodiversity are intimately linked. The impact of farming practices on the environment can either preserve or destroy habitats and threaten wild species. With almost half of the Earth's habitable land occupied by pasture and cropland, and the industry employing 1 billion people and generating over $1.3 trillion worth of food annually, it is essential to adopt sustainable practices. Unsustainable practices result in disastrous consequences like pollution, habitat loss, and deforestation. The need for sustainable resource management in agriculture is increasingly urgent since the world's population is growing and demand for agricultural commodities is on the rise. Agriculture is the leading source of pollution in many countries, and pesticides, fertilizers, and other toxic farm chemicals pose a significant risk to people and the environment. However, agricultural operations also offer unique opportunities to conserve biodiversity. WWF is identifying and implementing better management practices for agriculture and creating financial incentives to encourage biodiversity conservation. By having agriculture operations sustainably managed, they can preserve and restore critical habitats, protect watersheds, and improve soil health and water quality. Therefore, it is essential to focus on sustainable farming practices to balance the productivity and environmental impact of agriculture for biodiversity conservation. 3. Unsustainable farming practices and their impacts. Unsustainable farming practices have severe impacts on both the environment and society. Agriculture is the largest industry in the world, occupying approximately 50% of habitable land and generating over $1.3 trillion worth of food annually. However, unsustainable practices lead to habitat loss, pollution, erosion, deforestation, and climate change. For example, the livestock sector alone is responsible for 18% of all greenhouse gas production. Pesticides, fertilizers, and other toxic farm chemicals poison waterways, marine ecosystems, air, and soil, remaining in the environment for generations. Moreover, farming subsidies provided by US and European governments encourage overproduction, driving down prices globally and forcing many producers in developing countries to cut corners environmentally. As a result, agricultural expansion is a significant driver of deforestation and biodiversity loss, decimating critical habitats and ecosystems. Additionally, farming consumes around 69% of the planet's freshwater, further degrading water quality. As agriculture is vital for the livelihoods of 3/4 of the global population living below the poverty line, sustainable resource management is increasingly urgent. Sustainable agricultural practices can preserve and restore habitats, protect watersheds, improve soil health, and water quality. 4. Agriculture's deep connections to the world economy. Agriculture has a deep connection to the world economy, as it is the largest industry in the world, employing over 1 billion people and generating over $1.3 trillion worth of food annually. However, it is important to note that unsustainable practices in agriculture have serious impacts on both people and the environment. The need for sustainable resource management is becoming increasingly urgent due to the rising demand for agricultural commodities that comes with the growth of the world's population. Sustainable farming practices can help address these issues by preserving and restoring critical habitats, protecting watersheds, improving soil health, and water quality. These practices not only benefit the environment but also the producer's bottom line by creating financial incentives to encourage the conservation of biodiversity and identifying new income opportunities. However, it is also important to recognize the negative impacts of unsustainable farming practices, such as deforestation, habitat loss, pollution, erosion, and contributing to climate change. It is crucial to address these issues and implement alternatives that better support biodiversity conservation and improve agricultural policies. Collaborative efforts between different players in the agriculture industry can help create effective solutions to support sustainable farming practices that balance productivity and environmental impact. 5. Creative conservation measures in agricultural production. Creative conservation measures in agricultural production are becoming increasingly important as the world's population continues to grow and demand for agricultural commodities rises. Sustainable agriculture practices can preserve and restore critical habitats, protect watersheds, and improve soil health and water quality. However, unsustainable farming practices have serious impacts on people and the environment. Agriculture is a major driver of deforestation, habitat loss, and pollution, contributing to many of the environmental challenges that require immediate attention from the perspective of sustainable resource management. WWF works to identify and implement better management practices that will help to protect the environment while improving farmers' bottom line. They also create financial incentives to encourage biodiversity conservation and identify new income opportunities for producers. The sustainability movement is gaining support and acceptance within mainstream agriculture, with farmers, consumers, policymakers, and many others in the entire food system contributing to the vision of a sustainable food system. To implement sustainable agriculture practices on farms, it requires a transition process that involves making decisions to minimize environmental impact, but each small decision can make a difference and contribute to advancing the entire system further on the sustainable agriculture continuum. It is crucial that everyone plays a role in creating a sustainable food system to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. 6. Agriculture as a leading source of pollution. Agriculture is known as one of the leading sources of pollution across the globe. The use of pesticides and fertilizers is a major contributor to the pollution of fresh water, marine ecosystems, air, and soil. These toxic farm chemicals can remain in the environment for generations and are suspected of disrupting the hormonal systems of people and wildlife. Additionally, unsustainable farming practices such as burning fields and using gasoline-powered machinery are significant contributors to the buildup of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. As reported by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the livestock sector is responsible for 18% of all greenhouse gas production. Agricultural expansion is a major driver of deforestation and ecological destruction, leading to habitat loss and biodiversity loss. Agricultural practices consume about 69% of the planet's fresh water and directly affect the quality of freshwater systems worldwide. The loss of forests and unsustainable farming practices lead to extreme erosion, leading to a cycle of people living below the poverty line and biodiversity loss. Therefore, it is vital to implement sustainable resource management in agriculture, preserve and restore critical habitats, protect watersheds and improve soil quality, and identify new income opportunities for producers. The challenge of sustaining life on an increasingly crowded planet of more than 7 billion people grows more complicated every day. Agricultural practices must be aligned with the tenets of sustainability to ensure that future generations can meet their needs without compromising the natural environment. 7. Sustainable resource management in agriculture. Resource management in agriculture is a critical aspect of modern-day farming practices. It refers to the process of ensuring that the resources that are used in farming are utilized in a way that conserves them for future generations. The main aim of sustainable resource management is to increase productivity while minimizing the negative impact on the environment. This is achieved by taking a holistic approach that considers the social, economic, and environmental aspects of farming. In sustainable agriculture, farmers use a range of techniques and practices that promote soil health, water conservation, and biodiversity. This involves reducing the use of synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, controlling erosion, using crop rotations, and adopting conservation tillage practices. Additionally, sustainable resource management practices promote the use of renewable energy sources such as solar power and wind turbines to reduce the dependence on non-renewable fossil fuels. At the same time, sustainable agriculture improves the socio-economic conditions of farmers, farm workers, and the wider community while producing high-quality food and fiber. Therefore, sustainable resource management in agriculture is essential to ensure that the agricultural sector can meet the current and future food demands while safeguarding the environment and preserving the natural resources for future generations. 8. Sustainable agriculture and livelihood. Sustainable agriculture has a profound impact on livelihoods around the world. With agriculture as the world's largest industry, employing over 1 billion people and generating over $1.3 trillion worth of food annually, it is clear that the importance of this industry cannot be underestimated. Agricultural operations, when sustainably managed, can preserve and restore critical habitats, protect watersheds, and improve soil health and water quality. Unsustainable practices, however, have serious impacts on people and the environment. Agriculture contributes to many of the environmental challenges that WWF actively addresses, from habitat loss to pollution. Agricultural expansion is a major driver of deforestation and other ecological destruction, leading to the loss of forests and unsustainable farming practices that result in extreme erosion. Farming is the only viable livelihood option for 3/4 of the global population living below the poverty line. Therefore, it is important to identify and implement better management practices for agriculture while creating financial incentives to encourage biodiversity conservation, improving agricultural policies, and identifying new income opportunities to ensure producers' economic viability. Sustainable agriculture ultimately supports biodiversity conservation while meeting the needs of both present and future generations, improving the quality of life for people around the world. 9. Climate change in agriculture. Climate change is having a significant impact on agriculture. The changing weather patterns, increasing temperatures, and extreme weather events are affecting crop yields and the sustainability of agricultural practices. Mitigation strategies are needed to reduce the impact of climate change on agriculture. The use of integrated optimization systems can help balance the economic benefits of agriculture with its environmental impacts. Energy and water are the key components in agricultural production, and minimizing their use can be part of the objective function of agricultural optimization models. Rice, which is a strategic crop in many countries, has been highlighted in previous studies analyzing the energy use of rice production. Environmental impacts on water resources, such as river ecosystems, are also a concern due to agriculture's significant water use. Climate change is a global problem that might have considerable impacts on food security in the world. Therefore, it is crucial to develop sustainable farming practices that balance productivity and environmental impact to mitigate the impact of climate change and ensure a sustainable food supply for future generations. 10. Improving management practices for sustainable agriculture. Impro management practices is crucial for achieving sustainable agriculture. This includes minimizing the use of chemicals, conserving energy and water, emphasizing local production, reducing inputs, and utilizing resources efficiently. It is important to maintain the health and well-being of farmers and their families, as well as the environment. Sustainable agriculture prevents pollution, maintains soil fertility, enhances carbon sequestration by soils and vegetation, promotes energy efficiency, decreases emissions of air pollutants and greenhouse gases, and creates habitats for pollinators and native wildlife. In addition to environmental benefits, sustainable agriculture produces safe food with high nutritional value, as well as greater food diversity. Sustainable farming also provides economic opportunities to rural communities by creating jobs and supporting socio-economic development. It is critical to take a long-term approach to farming to ensure that we are meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Sustainable farming practices involve a system-wide approach and require interdisciplinary efforts from researchers, farmers, policymakers, farm workers, and consumers. The transition to sustainable agriculture is a continual process and requires a willingness to take small steps towards the ultimate goal. By utilizing sustainable farming practices, we can balance productivity and environmental impact to achieve long-term sustainability in our food production systems. And in the end, Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and put a comment and like on the video, so that we can continue to present everything new.